Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we got a fun one. We got a quick sound comparison of all the switches that I have right now. So these are all going to be the Kailh low profile V2 switches that I have in stock. So I currently have the stock reds, which is going to be right here. Right below that, I have the Hot 42 COSMOX crystals. Next, I have the silent switches here. Right above that, I have the Deep C silent switches. We have our Wizard Clicky switches. Right below are Phantom Tactile switches. Next to that are Ghost switches. And last up top are Hot 42 COSMOX wind engine switches. So here's the reds. Here's the crystals. Here's the Deep Sea Silent. Here's the Silence. Here's the Wizard Clickies. Here's the Phantom Tactiles. Here's the COSMOX Hot 42 wind engines. And here's the Ghost. So the way I organize things here, we've got our reds, our crystals, which are essentially the same thing. We're going to find out they sound essentially the same. Then we have our Deep Sea Silent and our Silence. And again, these two are very similar. We'll see if they sound the same. Then we have our Clicky Wizards and our Tactile Phantoms. And last we have our Wind Engines and our Ghosts, which are very similar. We'll see if they're the same as well. So let's start clicking away and let's dive in. Next we have our crystals right below. And we'll compare the two. So my personal opinion, they sound the same, right? In person, they sound basically the same. They feel exactly the same for the most part. When you're in use, they basically feel the same. So if you're on the fence between the reds and the crystals, what will you be looking at? What you're really considering is, do I want what came on my pads? A lot of pads come with stock reds and they're just fine. These again feel just about the same. Really, you're getting this crystal clear. So if you like the lights on your pad to shine really bright, you're gonna want the crystals for that very reason. And the feel you're gonna get is basically the same as the reds. Next, let's try the Deep Sea. Next, let's try the Silent. So with these two, they basically sound the same in person. And I hope that's coming across on the mic. They feel very similar. They sound very similar. And here's how they sound compared to the reds or the crystals. Next, we have the Wizard Clicky switches. Then we have our Tactile Phantoms. Comparing the two, compared to the reds and the crystals, so in use, these phantoms on the bottom sound basically the same as the reds and the crystals. The feel, when you press on it, there is like a weight and drop, right? So that's what gives it that tactile feel, whereas these are linear and they feel fine. They feel smooth. It's just, that's kind of what this is all about. You want to, kind of give a little bit of force, not a lot, just a little bit of extra force to make it activate. When it came to the silence, they are very smooth and very linear compared to the crystals and the reds. And they almost feel smoother and softer too compared to these reds and crystals. When it comes to the Wizard feels very soft. It feels a lot like the silence here, maybe a little bit softer, smoother. It snaps back really fast, and these feel a little bit harder compared to this, but not by much. When it comes to sound, this switch here is definitely louder, and that's what you're asking for with that clicky sound. Anyone that's using a Keychron optical switch, that's exactly what they sound like. They're just that same exact sound. So this gives you a little force before it activates. This is smooth and linear as well, just with a clicky sound and a clicky feel. Next, we have the COSMOX Wind Engine Hot 42 switches. So here's the reds and crystals and the wind engines. Next we have the ghosts with the reds and the crystals. Next we have the ghost. Now we have our reds and crystals with the ghost. So comparing these switches are close to the mics. They may sound a little bit louder. They're actually both are quieter than the reds and the crystals. In use, these wind engines and ghosts are currently my favorite switches. So they feel very smooth down and they snap up very quick. They both feel very good to the touch and very responsive. These feel just fine. They're just, a lot of people say mushy. And it's not that they're mushy, it's just they just feel a little different compared to the snapback on the Wind Engines and the Ghosts. So when it comes to the Phantoms, they feel a lot like the Ghosts, just with a pause before you activate. But it snaps back just as good as the Ghosts and the Wind Engines do. The Wind Engines actually feel slightly easier to push down. They snap back up. So it's kind of, these two I would say are roughly this, very, very, very similar. They're shaped the same. The Phantoms, they feel very similar, just have an extra force to kind of click. The Clickies feel a lot like the Wind Engine and Ghost, just with that click. Again, both of these have just a little bit of extra force to kind of activate, but they both snap back really well and you get a very good response out of these four. When it comes to the Silence and the Deep Seas, they feel and play a lot like the Reds. They snap back fine. They don't feel mushy at all. They're just very quiet and very light to the touch, right? And they feel really nice. I'll hold them all up here. So here again, we have the Reds, the Crystals. And again, if you look at these two, most controllers come with stock Reds. If you wanted to purchase the Crystal, you just want more light to shine through. That's your goal. Here we have the Deep Sea and the Silence. These two feel very similar. You want a silent switch. They both have the same clear tops. They're going to shine same as light as the Red. The Crystal will be brighter than everything on the table. So just, that's what you're looking for, get the Crystal. If you're looking for feel, both of these are quiet and they both feel really nice. And yeah, when in use, they both feel really nice and very silent, very quiet. Next, we have our Wizard Clickies and our Phantom Tactiles. These, again, they feel really nice. They play really nice. If you want that sound, you're definitely going to find it with the Clicky Wizards. The snapback is very good. They feel a lot like the Ghost, just like I said, a tiny extra bit of force to hit that click, right? And same with these here. And the Ghost, the Wizard, and the Phantoms, they're all in the same family of release, right? They're all in the same low freestyle switch. They're just different sounds, different feels. So they all three snap back really nice. They all play really nice. It's just, do I want that sound? Do I want that little bit of force before pressing the button by accident? So actually, when I press it, I know I pressed it. And do I want the Ghost just for that smooth go? And last, we have my two favorites, the Wind Engines and the Ghosts. Very, very similar. They feel very nice. The Wind Engines are slightly softer, right? When you push, they all snap back just fine, but to the touch, that's what you'll notice. But in use, comparing the two, if you were bouncing back and forth between two pads, you would never notice, and they all feel really nice. So these are the ones I use the most now, just because I don't really need the clicky sound, and I don't need the extra force, so I use these two on pretty much all my pads. The Silence and the Deep Seas, I'm going to start using those as well for different pads, just to make some silent things and try it out and get a little bit quieter, but that's how they feel. The Reds and Crystals, we all know those. They come stock on most of the pads. So if you like those, you'll be more than happy to go with these two if you want to do some modifications with color and sound. And if you wanted a faster snapback and smoother linear feel, these 2, 4, and 6 are all linears. And these two here, this one's tactile, this is clicky, and there you go. So those are the 8 switches that I have right now. I hope that helps someone that's on the fence on what to buy and what they're looking for. Thanks for watching. Bye.